Looking for a coffee that can finally give you the flavor and experience you have been missing? Then your next coffee order should be from SeaStateCoffee.com. Sea Coffee is premium, hand-selected, highest-grade available coffee that is roasted on order, delivered fresh to you. And right now, you can take 10% off your order by using the code GRIND10. That's GRIND and the number 10 for 10% off your Sea State Coffee order. Head over to SeaStateCoffee.com so you can enjoy the smoothest and most caffeinated coffee available. Start your day off right with Sea State Coffee. This week on the Route 16 Grind. In the outdoor update, Ethan will cover first COVID, now violent riots. Let's just head to the woods. And from the field, Ethan will talk about back to the basics, how to set up in the world of fishing. Instructor One from Ryker USA brings us to the conversation of police training and deficiency that are needed for better training on our on-target segment. In the Rock, Mud, and Dirt, Brian interviews Justin Andrews from Factor 55. In Go Adventure, we receive an update from Sir William Goes. Then we wrap up the show with a cup of Joe. Route 16 Grind, Episode 23, Unity.
The Route 16 Grind is sponsored by Sea State Coffee, Warren Industries, Tuffy Security Products, and Route 16 Off-Road. Welcome to the Route 16 Grind, the podcast for outdoor adventurers. Each week, we bring you information related to off-road and outdoor activities. If you wheel, hunt, fish, overland, or are an all-around adventurer, this podcast is for you. Each week, we pour a cup of Sea State coffee and talk about informative topics, the gear, and the training that can help you have a successful outdoor adventure. We have amazing contributors and some great conversation. So, grab your cup and enjoy the show. Here are your
Welcome back to the Route 16 Grind. I'm here with Ethan, and we got a pretty big show this week, man.
What's going on, everybody? Hey, Brian, do you want to guess what's in my coffee cup this week?
Sea State Coffee, man. That stuff's good, right?
Oh my gosh, it was too long. Listen, guys, so with everything going on and, coming aboard, it just everything, went awry so fast. I wasn't even able to try Sea State. And now, mind you, we did exercise safe social distance practicing, but Brian and I were actually able to link up. He smuggled me a couple bags and a nice care package. So shout out to you, Brian. Shout out to you guys at Sea State. And I immediately went home. It's like 7:00 at night. I couldn't help myself. I got out my grinder and my little carafe, and I made myself a cup of the dark roast. So definitely a fan of the dark roast, guys. You guys got to check this stuff out. It's amazing.
I like to smell the bags. That sounds so creepy, I know. But when it comes in, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, it smells so damn good. And I just never, this coffee, I've never had it. You might think, hey, it's not. I've never had experience with coffee like I've had with Sea State Coffee. Christian and his team do an amazing job. Veteran-owned business. I love every flavor that he comes out. Now they got some new ones too, man. So we got to get some more to you. I got some more that he just sent me, and I got to link up with you later this weekend, man.
Absolutely. I'm excited about that. And like he said, guys, we've got a lot going on this week. There's a lot been going on in the country this week. I hope you guys are staying safe out there, staying informed. And, I hope you guys like what we got to put out this week, because we definitely have some opinions that we're excited to share about the goings-ons in the world, not only in the, the outdoor realm and the wheeling realm, but and then we also bring in Instructor One, his perspective on things too. So I'm excited to share that with you guys.
Hey, guess what, dude? We got a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts.
No way.
Right on. And it says, if you like getting off the couch and enjoying the great outdoors, then this podcast is for you. They talk about everything from off-roading, overlanding, to hunting, fishing, to all things outdoors. Give it a listen. You won't be disappointed. Heck no, that's what we're looking for. We're looking for that. We don't want to disappoint you. And we're looking to help you go out there and get some adventure, try something new, or become a little bit more refined and maybe some skills that you already have or some activities you enjoy. Thank you so much for listening, and please go out there and give us some more 5-star reviews.
We appreciate your posts and feedback. One of the best ways to help out the show is to post a 5-star review with your feedback on Stitcher and Apple Podcasts. This helps us grow the Route 16 Grind audience, and we also get a chance to hear from you. So if you love the show, please consider leaving us a 5-star rating on Stitcher and Apple Podcasts today.
The Outdoor Update is brought to you by Tuffy Security Products. Having your vehicle broken into is not a laughing matter. Trust Tuffy Security Products to stop opportunistic thieves. Tuffy is the industry leader in automotive security and provides peace of mind when you walk away from your rig. Durable and easy to install. Tuffy Security Products has adventure-ready consoles, drawers, and lockboxes available for you to organize your rig and secure your gear. Visit TuffyProducts.com and use special offer code GRIND to save 10% on your order. Remember to lock it up.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Outdoor Update. This is the weekly segment where we provide you with stories, news, and information from the recent going-ons in the outdoor world. This week, I'm trying to bring some positivity and some energy, as I always do, but I also want to just kind of like break down my thoughts and feelings on, the outdoor world and our world in general now. And it's almost, you want to be somber and you want to be sad about it and you want to be mad about it, but you can't always just live like that. I think that you really need to take a step back and just assess and analyze everything that we've been through as a country, as a nation from the start, and know that no matter what, it's going to go on and we will, united stand. So, first we've got, COVID, and it was almost like it came on softly. I remember hearing about it briefly, and it was kind of just like, oh, it's affecting the stock market. What is this thing? And it seemed like, maybe not to y'all, but it seemed like overnight to me, almost, things just kind of started spiraling from, that escalation level went almost from like green to black, pretty quick as people started to realize, what effects this was going to have on our daily life. And, we've got this, and ultimately for us in the outdoor world, I remember I shot the Winter Nationals, which was down here in Mount Airy, North Carolina, through the International Bowhunters Organization, the IBO. And I remember my mother, who's a physician, and a couple other people who were like, are they still having it? They're closing everything down. I'm like, yeah, nobody said anything different to me. And we all kind of cracked the joke that we were there like, we're country folk, hunters. This doesn't scare us. Like, we will have this event. And we did. It was a very successful event. Nobody got sick there, or that was reported. It was, it turned out great. And that was, early-ish March. And then it was shortly after that, it was about the next week, that you just saw one thing after another. And, then you guys heard me talk about all the ASAs got suspended. All the IBOs got suspended. Total Archery Challenge got suspended. Shops, mom and pop shops, all the way up to some of the top tier companies in this industry just shut down. And the lucky ones, the larger ones that could sustain from this, that have that tenure and continuity, and then you see some of the smaller shops shut down, and we still don't know who is going to come back from this. A lot of small businesses, unfortunately had to file for bankruptcy and went out of business. So it definitely was a whirlwind for the outdoor world. And, there's some times where I feel bad. I can't bring you guys new products. I can't I get excited that things are just opening back up, that, unfortunately some things are postponed, rescheduled till 2021, but, a lot of things are rescheduled for later in this year, but they're still on that to be determined status. And then you saw people start getting fines for the thing that you would think is the best thing for social distancing. There were certain DNRs in certain states handing out citations for, not abiding by the stay-at-home order. fishing, hunting, etc. A lot of states we covered were pushing seasons back, which ultimately kind of refined that income that these conservation efforts and these state agencies depend on to be able to maintain their status, to keep going, to keep providing us with the best outdoor experience for the wildlife, for the public. So, we conquered that, and we were starting to come back, and it was almost like we started talking about what was going to be coming into a new norm. We were all getting excited. The stores were opening up. I said, like, hey, some of my companies that, I sponsor and I'm an ambassador for, are opening back up. And, now all of a sudden that things had just gone awry. And it was almost kind of to be expected. I don't want to say to be expected, but it's almost like if you take an American public and, you quarantine them, I'm doing air quotes since you can't see me, and you lock them up, there's going to be some civil unrest. That's just the nature of the beast. And with a couple edgy, but Brian and I spoke, we're going to cover them. Situations have happened that have, I want to say reopened old wounds. A couple irresponsible actions of some individuals have sparked a wound, a feeling that is not new, and it is unfortunate due to the timing that this has occurred again. And that it makes me wonder where we're going to go from this, and every positive thing that I had in mind that, how I was going to, adapt and pivot. That's all you get beat into your head. And it's like, okay, we can come back from this. And now it's like, okay, once again, I'm adapting and pivoting, but now I've got to watch my back. And now I got to worry about how much more this is going to affect my quality of life, our quality of life as a town, as a city, as a state, as a nation, so on and so forth. And then you gotta engage. If you want to engage intellectually and analyze a little bit deeper, think about, hey, I'm all for it. You want a peaceful protest, that is your right. I think that there is an absolute stance for that. I think that there is a message that needs to be sent peacefully. But there are some of these violent riots and some of these organizations that are taking it and escalating it to that next level that is just absolutely senseless to the original point as to why this is happening. And it makes you wonder, how is this going to affect our ability as law-abiding citizens to self-protect, our family, the thing that means the most to us, the things that we would give our lives for. How is this going to change gun laws going forward? Your ability and your right to bear arms. How is this going to be infringed upon due to, the unfortunate events and the status of our nation? So it's your responsibility as an American to, analyze this, be educated about it, think about it, and don't just sit back and be in your house and close your blinds. And that's, physically and metaphorically, and let this pass us by, because there's a lot going on right now. Again, it's not old. History is due to repeat itself. It's come full circle if you go back and you dive into some of the incidents that caused certain movements and things. But hey, it's almost like you could see something like this starting to boil. It's unfortunate we're going through it right now, but we have to be responsible. We have to be informed, and we have to get involved, whether it's, politically with your congressman, with your Senate. You are the only person that has a voice to be able to be registered to vote, to be able to say something, to do something about what you feel strongly about. So make sure you exercise those rights, and make sure you ultimately just think about it, just get engaged with it, and take that time to, really just hey, this is how I'm going to protect myself. This is how I feel about the situation. This is how I'm going to get involved, and this is my plan of execution. And then you always have that egress. So I don't know, Brian. We talked about it a bit offline, but like, man, what are you thinking? Like, start now to where we are today. It's wow.
You know, I just got to get this out. At no way, space and time, regardless of how you feel, George Floyd, died. He didn't deserve to die. Let's just get that out in the open. That man, regardless, he was on this and he had this doesn't matter. He didn't deserve to die. What happened was wrong. Absolutely wrong. And if you want to turn our show off and you want to hate us and send us hate mail, I don't care. Absolutely, that was 100% wrong. The accountability that you and I had as service members in combat zones, like getting, all sorts of things happening in the environments we were in, that absolutely wouldn't have flown. So, I will tell you this. You need to get involved, people. So you're a hunter. Guess what? This impacts you. Whether you realize it or not, this impacts you, because you could have a government that come in and say, you know what? In order to protect us, they need our guns. And I'm not trying to scare anybody. I'm really not. I'm just being honest here with what is coming out. The problem is you got color blue, you got color red, and people vote by color on the sign. And guess what? It's our fault. On top of it, we're not having the honest discussion when it comes down to racism. We're not. We're absolutely not. We're not having the honest discussion when it comes down to interaction of the police and the public. We're not having honest discussion on the concern of the police force being militarized. Now, I'm not trying to be this person that's trying to start crap. I'm just saying we need to talk about this. We need to get out. Yes, peaceful protests, absolutely. But if I was George Floyd's family, I would be absolutely insulted when a media person would put out a statement in an article or on the news and say the George Floyd riots. This man did not cause a riot. He was killed. Okay? Didn't cause a riot. So take his name. People are in protest. There is nothing more American than to protest. That is what we're about. And you have a right to redress your government. Absolutely. Peacefully. Because you know what? I'm not about harming anybody. I'm not about taking people's stuff. I'm not about any of that stuff. I'm about, hey, you know what? You do you, I'll do me, and we'll live peacefully. And we can go on about agreeing to disagree on topics, but that's fine. But it doesn't allow me to have power over you or you to have power over me. We really, and you said it, man, we got to vote. You got to get out there. If you haven't voted because, my vote doesn't matter, it does matter. You know what? I'll tell you this 100% honestly. When I go to the ballot box and I don't like any of the candidates, I do a write-in and I just put in none of the above. At least I can say I reserve my right for the next election period to at least voice my opinion and complain, but I complain and provide recommendations too. We need to get involved. We really do. And this is what I love about the outdoors. This is what I love about the activities that we talk on this podcast. Its biggest, the thing that just motivates me to do this and, bring in people like Ethan and talk about all this stuff. And we want to bring people together, man. That's absolutely it. We want to bring people together because it takes something to start that catalyst of discussion. And I shared it over and over in this podcast personally myself. I interact with people politically. We're not in the same spectrum, but we sure as hell not burning each other's house down. You know what I'm saying? And you have instigators, and that's the biggest thing too with all this. You can sit there and associate, this group, that group. This is people. This is freaking jackasses integrating themselves just because they want to create riots, anarchy, violence. And I mean anarchy in the negative way of freaking going on and all that. There are peaceful forms of anarchy, folks, believe it or not. But they are just looking to create chaos and disrupt everyone's life. You gain nothing by sitting there and burning down a building. Okay. Is that a statement? Yeah, you probably made your point. I get it. I get your frustration. But far as where you want to go with it, know where the power's at. The power's in that vote. Organize yourself in the vote right there. Tell you right now, man, third party's got my ear. I don't know about you, Ethan. Third party has my ear.
Absolutely. And it's like you said, I mean, I have to touch on it. It's like he bagged and tagged a lot of people. And I'm talking like ROEs for, down from the Geneva Conventions and war zones. You have somebody zip tied, bagged and tagged. You still don't need 3 grown men of 200-pound stature leaning on them. That perp was not going anywhere. I have to highlight the ultimate irresponsibility of whatever these forces, these small cities, boroughs, what have you, that don't have these structured academies, and then the research training. And if they are attending these things, they are slipping through the cracks majorly, because that type of escalation of force in a non-lethal environment is just ludicrous.
Well, let's just be honest. Know what good cops try to do? And I'm not a cop. I have plenty of friends that are people I care about. I have friends that I grew up with, very close to cops, and I worry about them, literally worry about them every day. But they work to de-escalate a situation, and they constantly, that's what they do. And that's why I'm telling you right now, it would be difficult for me. I respect cops to be in that, but good cops. I don't respect you fucked up cops, but I respect you good cops, man. It is a tough job, and I acknowledge that. And I will provide all the support that I can as a citizen to ensure that your life is safe and all that. But come on, man. That was just absolutely wrong. This guy did not deserve to die. Did not deserve to die, man. And You know how pissed off we were about that deer in Pennsylvania when those kids were freaking basically torturing it? This was a human being, man.
Yeah.
And they were so freaking comfortable in the public, cameras all on them, to just sit there. And I will put you citizens who just got your freaking cameras out and watch, to me, hey, you're kind of a tiny bit guilty yourself, because you could have said something. You could have went there and said, this is wrong. And you could have caused something. You know what? I guarantee you, if that would have been there, I would have taken, you know what? Put me in freaking cuffs. I will absolutely freaking take this one and then take this to court, because there's no way that was right.
I have my blood boiling. You bring that up because it's like I can't do anything but watching it, knowing the type of person I am. Hey, DOD personnel inherently, Marines, whatever, SF. It's like like you said, I don't care if I would have got a aiding and abetting, a damn, some sort of infraction for it. But it's like I would have tackled him or something. And for the people who did stand there and say he can't breathe, get off of him, do something, and how forcefully the Officer Tao or whatever, whoever the big barrel chested, out of height and weight standards dude was that was out front trying to do crowd control. It's like, I wish something would have been done, because this man's life. You know what?
I need a revert. I got a little bit of emotion running, and you know what? I wasn't in those people's situations. I don't know who they were, and I want to respectfully apologize for that comment. I'm not going to take that out of the podcast, because it's just the emotion attached. Because I'll tell you why. By the fact that these guys are so comfortable doing that, they might have been comfortable enough to shoot the people that enter that. Sure. You know what? They might have been that comfortable saying, "Oh well, I was getting attacked," and just blast somebody away and put 30 rounds in them. And I love the fact that other cops are coming out saying this is freaking wrong. This is wrong. I love it. I love it that other professionals who are in that field are openly saying this is wrong. Our own police out in our area. So Ethan and I live on the outside of Fayetteville, North Carolina, and our own police out there, they acknowledge that with their protests. They're saying, and you say what you want about these officers taking a knee or anything else, because there is a peaceful solution, and a silent protest, whatever. I'll take that any day over riot. Any day over riot. But yeah, man, it's tough. And so all you guys out there who, the open space, open lands, all that, your rights, you got to get involved. And if you're one of these big Second Amendment guys, and you should be, I think everybody should be, because it's an extremely important right. And right now, the people that fought for all those gun laws to make it harder for you to get a weapon, they're trying to get a gun, man, trying to protect themselves. And that's a right that absolutely you should not be prevented from. You should have every opportunity to defend yourself. You need to get involved, man. You need to get involved.
Yeah, so to just bring this thing full circle, guys, I mean, like he said, if anything comes off as off colored as a remark, I apologize too, because sometimes you start speaking with raw emotion, and maybe people have not had obviously this similar training or real world upbringings even, or experiences that we may share, that sometimes our chemistry gets going on this show. So it's like, just officially as well. But I did want to bring that in, and, for you guys that come here to listen to for bow builds and, the latest gun laws and, when hunting season, when things are going to open back up, it unfortunately that was at the forefront of our nation this week. So I know this isn't a political podcast, but we definitely
we sneak it in every now and then.
Yeah, we slip it in just because of our passion for our country. But
yeah, man,
it was, we had to say it. We said what our thoughts and feelings were. Brian kind of put out our disclaimer. I stand by that as well at the beginning. So, just to bring it full circle for, each and every one of you guys listening out there. And for you guys that listen out of the country, hey, I see a lot of support on social media, and I even see there's peaceful protests going on in the UK. So that's great. To show that kind of support for, our nation with our allied countries, et cetera. But like Brian said, like I said, even for you guys that just, like I know people like that. It's like, I just don't even want to get involved. I'm sorry for the guy. I'm sorry for his family. I'm sorry for everybody in general. I just want peace, and I want to go out on my 40 acres of land and, kill a buck. And like you said, hey, your rights are very well, subject to be impacted, because they can say, hey, you can't have that 270 to go hunting with this year. That's due to public safety. So, bring it full circle. That's why I brought this into it, just when we thought we were coming back to a homeostasis level, we have to look out for ourselves and our rights of freedom.
The Red Warren Badge says you're equipped to handle anything, ready to conquer any challenge that may come your way. That badge has stood for off-road excellence for more than 70 years. During that time, we haven't stopped innovating or striving for perfection. Be ready. Be prepared. Go Warren.
When you hear the calls, we have a report from the field. And this week, I'm just going to take a step back. We definitely had a good first segment. I hope you guys enjoyed that. We kind of got, we just got raw there with you guys for a minute. So, and definitely feel free to give some feedback on that, because, this is our, not Brian, an hour. I'm doing big circle right now. We want you guys to get involved. Tell us what you like. That way we can keep bringing you the content that keeps you guys going. So I'm going to take a step back. Let's get back on that happy level. We're going to talk about some of the things we can look forward to this summer, now, later, you and me going fishing in the dark. Brian said it in the intro. We're going back to the basics of fishing. So for those of you guys out there that, you got your whole selection of LL Bean and Orvis, and, you're going out steelhead fishing with the biplane, this may not be for you. But for those of you guys that, are looking for a way to get outdoors, a way to contribute to conservation, a way to get your kids involved, something else to do while you're going wheeling, overlanding, or camping, hey, I'm just going to tell you just how cheap, easy, and cost efficient it can be to get into something that can ultimately lead to lifelong memories and happier, healthier you. So Obviously, we all saw pictures, or maybe our grandfathers or something took us cane pole fishing, or, you had your little ugly stick or something like that, But a rod and reel setup, it doesn't have to be too elaborate. Heck, there was this one time where we actually went four-wheeling, little quads. I'm not quite on the level with you Jeepers yet, but this was back when I was maybe 10, 12-ish years old. And a group of us boys growing up playing baseball together, the adults would get together. We'd go on like 12-hour quad rides, and us kids would, go off during the breaks when the adults were enjoying their nice cold adult beverages. We'd go off and get into some shenanigans. So we actually stopped at this place called the Reservoir. And a buddy of mine took off his shoelace. We saw some bluegill. Took off his shoelace, and we actually saw where somebody had been fishing, and there was a little bit of, twine, geez, listen to me, fishing line, some monofilament on there, maybe 10 pound or something like that, with a little hook and a bobber, maybe, 10 feet in length, somebody snagged in a tree and it was wound around it. So, we cut off what we could of it and utilized the hook and the bobber and tied what we needed as an extension to the shoelace. And then we dug up and we actually found a grub in an old rotten piece of wood. So from just what we found in our resources, we were able to put a grub on a little 4/0 tiny hook that already had a leader attached to it, threw it out there, and we actually caught a bluegill. And it was like the coolest thing since sliced bread, to just primitively do it with, what little resources we had there. So that was not my first fish. That is not my most memorable fish, but that was definitely an experience I wanted to share with you guys, because it doesn't take much. And that is a memory that, I still have how many years later, and then I'll have it to where I tell my grandchildren. So rod and reel setup doesn't have to be too elaborate. The old Zebco 33s, you can get them at Walmart for, sub $30 or something. I think they even come with little Plano tackle box kits that have bluegill, bass on them, what have you, trout, whatever you want to catch. And honestly, guys, that's enough to get you started. So the selection is vast. And like I said, you can go mild to wild real quick with this stuff. You can get, a Shakespeare ugly stick. You can actually get the rod and maybe upgrade your reel separately. You can get all down into, light action, medium action, fast action, medium heavy, light heavy, different lengths for different things, 6'6" all the way up to, 12-foot fly rod. So you guys want me to get into fishing a little bit deeper? If you guys have a passion for that, I definitely can get you guys, into bass fishing, trout fishing, both lake and stream, fly fishing. So let me know on that. But for the basics, get your rod and reel at Walmart, get your rod and reel at Academy, less than $50. You can have everything you need for the summer. Locations are a big thing. I don't know where you guys are. Hey, Florida, land of 1,000 lakes. I know you can go down there and pretty much turn in 360 and see water, whether it's the coast or inland. Hey, there's opportunities everywhere. Here in North Carolina, we definitely have some big lakes. We have Lake Jordan, Lake Waccamaw. I don't know. There's a couple more. I actually talked to a couple dudes that do there's a pretty big following for the bass tour here. So a lot of big money in that. But, within 5 minutes, I can be at a lake all the way out to, 40 minutes. I'm at a lake, a huge lake. So wherever you guys are, I'm certain that there's at least a farmer's private pond. It doesn't hurt to go, if you drive by it on your way home from work, hey, it's still not, people might be on edge a little bit these days. So proceed with caution. But
don't do that.
Hey, it never hurts to stop there and just
ask the farmer.
Excuse me. Hey, sorry, I got my dogs worked up. It doesn't hurt to say, hey, sir, would you mind if I brought my son here, on Saturday for a couple hours and, caught a couple bluegill or bass? We'll catch and release. And 9 times out of 10, he's going to be like, I don't care, have fun, have at it. But, and then I wanted to wrap this in because we talk about this at lengths is, you guys, you're getting out there, you're wheeling, you're overlanding. Overlanding's great because you're getting out there and you're at least spending some days, and you're camping and you're living primitively. But sometimes I know there's been some interest expressed. It's like, all right, I love wheeling, and I love wheeling. But it's like, all right, you get out there. Well, then what? How much more could you diversify and your experience, and how much more fun could you have? And, just kind of bringing that plethora of activities to your overall experience. And it's like, take a travel rod and reel. They have telescopic ones that they go from 6 foot down to 1 foot. You can throw that thing in the back of your truck. For a while, I carried one of those just because, I was a single guy. I didn't have any obligations or be home. I just, go to work or, go for a drive, and I'd see a body of water I wanted to fish. And heck, you stop there for 30 minutes. That's it. On to the next one. Hey, there's probably no fish here. So getting out there, exploring, and having that in your toolkit, your arsenal to be able to, enjoy that sport is something that's just so easy. And it's the piece of it, the piece and the memories. That there's been so many studies, and I try to do this, and I know that I don't always practice what I preach, that taking that, 5, even 10 minutes up to an hour of just you time, that meditation. There's so many different activities you can do. You can just write down your thoughts for the day and reflect on them. You can read. You can just go to a quiet place. Well, for me, maybe for Brian too, getting outdoors, for a lot of people, that is your me time as well. You don't even have to share that with anybody. It's great if you do, but that can be your escape. Stop at the lake on the way home, or get up early on a Saturday morning, get your coffee at your favorite place, get your, breakfast sandwich if they're serving. Hopefully most places are open where you're at. But you get that, you spend an hour or two, and you're back home with maybe a fish or two, or regardless, you're back home with a memory of the sun coming up and seeing a little bit of mist on the water and just getting to reflect and being a better you. And you get home, and before your kids and wife are even up, you just have that piece, that memory. And that's something that I can't tell you how great it is till you go experience it for yourself. So make sure you get out there and try it.
We like to feature your success in outdoor adventures, so shoot the pics over to us with a brief story. rootonesix.com and select contact. That's rootonesix.com and select contact.
On target.
Welcome to our On Target segment, where you receive the inside scoop on brands, products, and training that can help you step up your hunt and range game. This week, Ron from Ryker USA gets the conversation started as it ties into current events. A sensitive subject, yes, but a needed discussion. Police training, the deficiencies, and the need for better training.
What's up, everybody? It's Ron with Ryker USA coming to you with this week's On Target segment on Route 16 Grind podcast. And this week, I want to talk about something that is, by the time you guys get to this, hopefully things have, cleared up in the murky waters in what is going on in Minneapolis with the murder of George Floyd by the 4 police officers that were there. And I love law enforcement. And just like in the Marine Corps and in the armed forces and in life, you've got stellar performers, you've got middle of the road performers, and you have absolute dirtbags. It's no different in law enforcement and medical field and engineering and plumbing. You got guys who are great, and then you get guys who are just doing it, just punching a clock, just to get that paycheck and don't really care about perfecting their craft or really, doing above and beyond. And, I think the biggest thing missing here, and again, not condoning what these police officers did, it was absolutely horrible. And as humans, as law enforcement, as people, we need to do better. We need to do better. We need to just come together and really do better. And we also, I'm not going to go conspiracy theory on you guys, but we also need to not allow the media to manipulate us with the propaganda. And again, I'm not taking away from this event. But the thing I want to talk about is I have a degree in Homeland Security and Emergency Management. And one of the things that I wrote about many, many times when I was working towards my degree was the shortcomings of training and education in the first responder arena. Our police officers are hired for a job they are not trained for and not allowed to do. And when they do their job, the repercussions, the ripple effect is absolutely just magnifying in a bad way. These guys, you know, whatever compelled them to become a police officer, raised their right hand and they swore an oath to serve and protect. And where I have seen personal experience through training with guys, working with guys, friends who are cops, and then interviews I've conducted over the years, these guys want to do better, but they're not paid for in correlation to the stress of the job and what they do. They're so worried about being micromanaged now, or just pretty much farting in the wind and getting, you know, in trouble for, you know, something minor. It actually prevents guys from doing good police work. I was actually thinking about becoming a sheriff's deputy years ago after I retired, because I wanted to serve. I wanted to make an impact in my community. And I had a few guys who were, one was prior Marine Corps and sheriff, and then I had another guy who was just straight sheriff. And they both told me, they're like, look, man, there's no loyalty in law enforcement like what you're used to. It's not there. And the reason it's not there is because the guys have to look out for themselves, because they don't feel like that they're protected if they did the right thing. If they did the right thing, they still might get fired. So it comes down to career and self-preservation. And what you see in a lot of communities is the first thing to get cut by the local elected officials, politicians, is budgets, the budgets for law enforcement, for firefighters. And what comes out of those budgets? Training and promotions. And law enforcement, unless you're like LAPD SWAT, Dade County SWAT, you know, Dallas SWAT, a dedicated SWAT team, the bigger cities, you're not going to have the funding. You're not, because it just doesn't call for it. But that doesn't mean that our police officers in the small towns in North Carolina, in these towns in Minneapolis, in all of these towns across the United States, that they don't deserve proper training. And proper training should be afforded to every single one of them, whether you're a rookie or a 20-year veteran. Sustainment training is important. We do it in the military for a reason. You can't grow as an individual, you can't grow as a leader, and you can't grow to support the mission, to support the needs of the command or whatever unit you're in. It needs to be the same for law enforcement. These guys need to have mandatory training, and this training needs to be advanced. It needs to be modernized. They do need to have extensive firearms training. I would go ahead and say on a special operations caliber level, because if you're protecting me, in my mind, you need to be able to shoot better than me. And that's the standard I hold law enforcement to. Sounds a little arrogant, but I mean, to me, that's just how I feel. So training, these guys have got to train. Now, they also need medical training. These guys need military TCCC live tissue. These guys need this training. These guys see more trauma. The first responders, they're on the scene. They're coming up on a car accident. Someone's hanging through the window. Someone's been run over. Like, these guys are not these men and women are not trained for this, and let alone if the guys that do go out and seek to be better at their craft, they aren't provided the proper equipment in their vehicles. Most of them are not. The next thing is how to communicate with the public. They need to have social interaction training. They need to have these things. They need to understand how to conduct themselves on their own social media. They need to, and I know these policies are in place, but how much training is supporting a policy or a document that you signed? Okay, cool. Let me get back to work. All these things come into play. And then the final thing is They need to do extensive background checks on these people, constant mental health assessments. Mental health is a huge issue in our country, and we've seen it, post global war on terror, all our veterans coming back, all the issues these guys, a lot of the guys have had, and the suicides. It's the same in law enforcement, and they're not screening these guys. They're not doing the constant checkups, and they're not doing a background check on them, making sure that these guys are good. And it's all, none of these things are happening for the whole purposes of saving money or spending money on something else, like a new park. And I'm not saying parks and roads aren't important, but if these people are protecting us and we're not training them, we're setting them up to fail, and that's not fair. So think about that. And again, what those police officers in Minneapolis did was 100% wrong. It was murder. And I would like to think that if I was there, I would have had the moral courage to step up and tell the police officers that they need to fix this. They need to stop, and without trying to physically interact, because regardless of why that man was detained from the beginning, that was wrong. No ifs, ands, or buts. So stay safe, ask questions, engage, help somebody, do something for somebody else without wanting anything in return. And like I said, we can all do better. We all have to do better. All right. So thanks for listening. Thanks for supporting Route 16 Grind. Talk to you guys next week.
Hey, Ron, thank you so much for that contribution. Again, it's a tough subject, tough to get into, sensitive subject, but an honest commentary. Just like Ron, I have a degree in emergency management. And I tell you what Ron said, I don't take as arrogant because I know the man personally. I've known him for decades. And let me tell you, I too, as a citizen, expect that bar for, if you're going to walk around the public and protect, quote unquote, protect my family, protect my property and all that, and you're armed, there is an expectation that I have as a citizen that you can employ that, whatever weapon system safely with my family around that situation. So I don't take that as arrogance, and I hope that you don't as well. When we had to, again, it's an honest conversation, and thank you for bringing it up. And we loved your feedback on this.
Want to support the show? How about becoming a Route 16 Grind Patreon today for as little as $1 a month? It's not just a contribution, but an investment that goes directly to the show. Help this podcast expand and grow. Check out the show notes for the links to our Patreon page today.
Hey, this is Mickey G, and just want to remind everybody when they're out heading the woods and the trails and everything, the snakes seem to be a little bit more active than normal this year. For the first time in 32 years since I've been on the Mickey G compound down here, I've seen a copperhead snake in the yard. First time I've ever seen a venomous snake in the yard. And he's probably around, probably about 30 inches long. I have to measure him in inches because he doesn't have any feet. Yeah, I know that one. That's pretty lousy. I could probably do better than that. Let me think. No, I think that's it. I think I used all my good jokes up already. I'll come up with more. All right, guys, I'll chat you later. You have a good one. Bye.
In the Rock, Mud, and Dirt is brought to you by Warren Industries. At Warren, we pour our effort and our thirst for adventure into every product we make. You better believe American pride runs deep here in Clackamas, Oregon. Here, a small army of engineers, technicians, machinists, and assemblers design and refine Warren products, bringing them as close to perfection as possible. Their work is backed up by legendary quality control that doesn't just stand up to rigid Warren standards, it lives up to the toughest demands of the world's top vehicle manufacturers and military suppliers. How do we know? Because they've partnered with Warren for decades. This quest for peerless reliability, this Warren difference, will be around as long as Warren Industries is in business. At least another 70 years. Go prepared. Go Warren.
Welcome back to the Rock, Mud, and Dirt, the segment where I talk about people, brands, products, and events from the off-road world. This week, we sit down with a great interview with Justin Andrews from Factor 55. Justin, welcome to the Route 16 Grind, and thank you so much for joining us here, man.
Yeah, well, thank you guys for having me. Yeah, man, my name is Justin. I've been working for Factor 55 for going on 6 years now. I'm originally from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and now I live out here in Boise, Idaho. So it's kind of a long transition to get between here, but I've been in Idaho since high school, actually, and then went to I got a full ride to Boise State when I graduated,
Right on.
so I stayed in this area, and I got a full ride to college for music. So I played in a band, toured all over, got certified for scuba, went out to Hawaii, taught scuba in Hawaii for a while, and then when I moved back to California for a little bit, I ended up moving back to Idaho, and I bought a Jeep when I got back to Idaho. So
Right
there was the antithesis to the rest of my life. I never thought motorsports would be my career, or that I have all the opportunities that I've been presented from doing this job. But I went from barely knowing how to change my oil or airing tires down or anything like that to being able to race the Baja 1000. So things have been quite the transition over the last 6 years. I'll say that. So
That's awesome. And you know, the fact that you were open to all that and you weren't settling and you were exposing yourself to different things. And, you know, that's really what this show's about. And this is one of the things we want to encourage. And man, you are a byproduct of getting out there and doing it and actually having the energy and going out there and learning those new skills. And, you know, one thing I want to kind of bring in is, you know, when we talk about Factor 55, most people know Factor 55 is just at Factor 55. But really, it's a Factor 55 engineering. You guys are an engineering brand, engineering company. Tell us about that and the tie that it has in not only in the name, but in the brand itself.
Yeah, so our company founder and president, Mike Costa, Mike is he's the brains behind the whole driving force of the brand. And so Mike's actually a mechanical engineer by trade. He worked for Loral Space Systems, Ford Aerospace, Lam Research, worked in a lot of military satellites and semiconductors, and ran engineering for Samsung for a time. I mean, he's done it all. And in the background, you know, he was always right around that Silicon Valley area, and was always a avid Toyota rock crawler. So there he was back in the early '80s with his his Hilux out there smashing on the Rubicon. So it was really it's always, it's the funniest thing, even from scuba, I've really kind of gotten that too, where even from teaching scuba, there was always engineers, right? Those type of mindsets are the type of guys that get involved in something like this. So the same thing with where you got these dudes who are designing military satellites and doing all this stuff. Like here he was also out on the Rubicon rock crawling. So the idea was always trying to make a better mousetrap, right? So he came up with a lot of he came up with all the patents and the basis of all the products that we manufacture. And yeah, man, like we do design work for the military, for fire departments, law enforcement. We kind of do it all. In fact, we manufacture some products that we don't even sell to the public because we have other things going on in the background. So there are many levels and a lot of different avenues and facets there, and it's all based on strict precision engineering and sound engineering practices. You know,
so you mentioned a lot of things. So I'm a diver too, so I get what you're doing, and I have a deep background in communications. And I'll be honest with you, it was my tech mind that really attracted me to your brand. And I remember the first time I heard of you guys, I was like, what is that? And I go look on Google and I see your testing. The testing that you all do for each one of your products is second to none. You put a form out there. You put it all out there, and you also educate. That's what I love about you all too, as a customer, not only as a partner, but a customer. That is what the big attraction was. It's like, hey, you're not just giving me something, say, hey, because I said so, it's awesome, it's the coolest thing out there and everybody has one, you should buy it. It's actually, hey, our stuff works, it's tested, it's evaluated. And you know what? If there is an issue, your customer service is second to none. A phenomenal brand.
Well, thank you, sir.
Yeah, absolutely. And Justin and I, we've been talking for about 3 years, off and on here. We hit each other up, and you're a huge supporter. So, but I'm not saying that in a sense to just pump you guys up. I'm being, and anyone that knows me knows that this is absolutely sincere. With 2020 right now, the world's just been on fire. Some of us has kind of been in the bunkers and isolated from the world the past few months with everything going on. But you all have a bunch of new products. Factor 55 has a bunch of new products out there. So how about you catch us up on what that new stuff is and maybe why we need to have it?
Yeah, so it's been a really interesting transition, mostly because of, coming in from, we always build up everything to SEMA, and then at SEMA we release all the new products. And at SEMA allows us as a vendor to show up to that event and to be able to display our parts on this world stage. Now, when we do that, a lot of times we just have the prototypes. Like we've scrambled all year, we've done whatever, right? Our show season, the whole thing. And we've come to SEMA to release these new parts, but then it actually, you get like 90 days from the time you showed at SEMA before it has to be in production and available, right? So we started showing some of this stuff in the fall, but man, we didn't really even have inventory or any of the actual parts like done in that way until it was like already into, the middle of January. And so, in fact, some of those parts it's been hard to even catch up on since we started making them. So a couple of the big things this year that we have now rolled into releasing is we now offer 3 full recovery kits. So we have a small, medium, and large recovery kit that we named the Owyhee, the Sawtooth, and the Bora. And we actually named those based on the elevations of the mountain ranges right around here in the Treasure Valley here, right in Boise in Idaho. So it's kind of a cool thing to throw back to give even the name of those kits, right, to kind of a little local flair.
That's pretty awesome.
To where we're at, right? And then so we in the recovery kits, the thing that was so unique about this is that every single recovery kit is the first all-inclusive 100% USA-made recovery kits available. So every component, including the bag itself, is USA made. So that was something that was a really big thing for us, and that we were really trying to come up with what those bundles were going to look like. And a lot of that started over a year ago. So like kind of a quick little story here. My son, who is 16 now, lives in Chicago. So he flew out here to come visit me and my girlfriend. And I took him, my girlfriend, and my little brother, who was just about to start med school, and we all went snowboarding. We just went 2 hours north of here to go snowboarding. Well, I got a 2-door Jeep. Nobody and all this equipment's not fitting in the back of my Jeep, right?
Right.
Like, it's not going to happen. So we go up to go ride the mountain all day. It's totally badass. I want to give my kid a really wonderful Idaho winter day, the whole thing. So we go down to this hot spring as soon as we get done riding the mountain. Well, as soon as you turn off the main highway, you're right on the dirt roads. And it's something as simple as just a dirt road that's covered in snow, right? And here we are in my girlfriend's Xterra with both my son and my and my little brother. And here we are. And as soon as you turn off the dirt road, what is it? It's a stock Tacoma stuck on the side of the road, slid off the road. 100 yards past that guy, there's a Honda Civic slid off the road. Just people just trying to go down to the hot spring, right, on a winter day. And here I am doing what I do for a living, knee deep in snow, trying to shove cars out of it. Right? Like just totally ridiculous because we didn't have anything. We had zero kit whatsoever. And so it really started to build this whole thing to go like, geez, man, if we just had one little bundle, even in something to start, that even if you're going to take your if you're going to take your vehicle off pavement and you're going to hit dirt in any kind of way, even as simple as going to a ski resort, we should be able to offer that bundle of bags that for anybody that's going to take like their Subaru Crosstrek or their Tundra, for that matter, whatever. We should have something that's available for anybody to do. So that's where kind of the basis of these recovery kits really came from. And so the Owyhee recovery kit, our small recovery kit, is all of the essential little tools that if you have a vehicle with a hitch receiver or you have a vehicle that you're trying to help recover that has a hitch receiver, you have everything to start in order to create a closed system and something in order to do at least some type of recovery on. So from there, the Sawtooth kit is based for towing and winching. And then the Bora kit is really based for municipalities and military was kind of more the focus there. But that kit basically has everything for extreme rigging and towing stuff all bundled in one one place. So now there's no fussing or fighting or looking around. Like, you can just get those kits. So that was pretty cool.
Anytime that I go out, I have med kit, I have, a tire patch kit. Recovery kit is right up there with the things that I always have in my vehicle. And you just don't know when you can assist someone. I've helped people on sunny days who just ran off the road because they probably weren't paying attention. I've had poor weather days where having that gear, and on top of it, just being able to be self-sustaining and peace of mind while you're out wherever you are. And those packages, they're just so beefy. That's what I love about your products, and just that brand name. It's there. You guys don't take shortcuts in your testing. I mean, for someone that's just not sure, hey, is this going to work? They can just contact you guys, and they can just really have a lot of trust into the brand name. And speaking of brands, and I kind of skipped over this, but I want to get back to it. But you and Warren are no longer competitors. In fact, you guys are on the same team now. So what is that all about, and how do your customers and Warren customers benefit from this new partnership?
It's pretty interesting, actually. So I had thought, I'm just like the dude who works here, right? I helped with the marketing and sales and to build the brand, but I was not really privy to like the whole conversation that was happening behind the scenes. So it was a surprise to me, as to anybody else. But it was really one of those things where we had been talking about for a long time about looking outward for investment into the brand. And there were a lot of people that were coming and I'll call them gentlemen suitors to my boss,
right?
to invest money into the right. Yeah. And just to invest money in the brand to where we could build more inventory, do more, buy more, get the road show even bigger and be able to really explode the brand even more. And Warren was one of those companies, and they finally came to an agreement with Mike, and then they actually just acquired the brand. So I am now officially a Warren employee. So that's a new
right.
phase too. But it's been the thing that's been really cool with that is I think that even a company as large as Warren is, and as big as a brand as they really saw the value and the same thing, the integrity in the products and the brand as a whole, and then decided it was better off for us to just be under the same house and under the same umbrella rather than being out there and be maybe quote unquote against each other, but that we complement their product line, and now their product and our products don't exist without their product in that sense, right?
Right.
So it's
there's some things you guys just do really well, man. And I think, not getting to the conversation we had probably 3-4 months ago about this product, that product, whatever. But I think that, to me, when that happened, I was like, oh, I guess they get it. There's just some things you do really well. And they're like, you know what? We need to get this.
Yeah. And doing a lot of, and exactly that point, even we've been told a lot from Warren, even especially in the immediate and even in the future here, that Factor 55 is still going to be operating independently of Warren. So like a lot of people are like, oh, well, they're just going to take over all your manufacturing. And they're going to do all this stuff. And
it'll ruin it.
It's not the case. Yeah. It's not the case at all. They really see how nimble we are and the availability of our design team and all the stuff that we've got going on as far as the company goes. And so they're more about backing us up and supporting that way more than they're about trying to change anything. Warren's a 70-year-old company, and they're a legacy brand, and they've got their own battles that they got to deal with, right? So They're just letting us cruise along and continue to build up and to support them. And even with the new products that we did release, like the recovery kit, our new rope retention pulley, like a lot of these other like little individual pieces, we still have an entire line of industrial products for our military, mining, industrial customers, right, that are all being released even later this summer. So, I mean, there's zero slowdown here. It is just moving forward and continuing to develop more stuff and just to make sure that everybody stays safe, man, no matter what facet it is.
Yeah, and like you said it best, you guys complement each other, and I was excited. And even in the press release, it talked about you guys still working independent when I first saw it. So, yeah, kudos to Warren. And, both your brands, support Route 16. You guys have supported me for multiple years and everything that we're doing and all the events we want to reach out to. And, speaking of Factor 55 itself, you support numerous charities, clubs, events, big, small, company like mine, veteran business, and more. And the support that you guys shown my brand and the podcast is just second to none as well. But one thing I can say is that you guys take that supporting above all person. How I want to say this. There's very few brands that take it to the level that you do. We talked about a lot of things. We shared a lot of things. I call you up. You're able to support a particular event. It could be short notice. But I think it's also that mutual thing where, hey, we're working for you to put your stuff out there and you guys help to kind of get our name out there. But why does Factor 55, you guys you're established and you got Warren like seeking you out now, but why do you do that? Why do you go above and beyond when it comes to this area, this specific area? Because you got small clubs, large clubs, you got various charities. It's crazy when I go out to all these events, throughout the Southeast and I see Factor 55 products out there. I mean, and I know they're probably talking to you. It's just amazing. Why is that so important to your brand?
I think a lot of it is when I first came on to start working with Mike, I think for me, it was something that I was able to bring to the table for Mike, because Mike is such a, he's a mechanical engineer, man. He's very numbers oriented. He's very a certain way. And I think that that's where the two of us really have that balance. Like I played in a band and was on tour and was dealing with, being on the road all the time. And I spent the most of my 20s bartending, right? So dealing with like the best of people and the worst of people, what I'm saying? So it's like, so it really turned out for me to be able to come into this role and to be able into customer service and look at it in a way of where the same thing with scuba, right? Where you're familiar with dive trips and being around them, exactly how those guys, you have to watch out for all the little nuances that can happen because that's a life and death scenario. Like if somebody's eyes are getting wide and they're starting to freak out, they're starting to repel the gear off of them underwater, you could be in a bad situation.
Right.
Quickly,
Arcing out. Yeah.
So having to go through like all of these different scenarios in my life and leading up even to when it came to off-roading, one of the things that I think that I always wanted was like, it's like this, like I got certified for scuba. I loved it so much. I became an instructor, right? I got into Jeeping, and before I knew it, I was running one of the largest clubs in the state of Idaho. And then here I am turned around. Like I was just like everybody else. I started seeing all of the pro links and flat links and all our different shackle mount parts on the front of Terraflex, Genrite, like on all these other different builds and Jeeps. And I was like, well, those guys, like, I love this. And those guys are professional. So like, I got to have what they have. Right. So I started looking it up and was like, Factor 55, Boise, Idaho. Like, why is this dude wheeling with us every weekend? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how that whole thing started. And I think that for me, no matter how big or how small the charity, the club, the thing is, I mean, because there are thousands. I mean, every day, right? There's something going on.
Right.
Some, how veteran organizations, kids with cancer. Like, I mean, dude, that's just endless. Like the stuff that happens. And for us, the reason why we always reach out there, I think, is because, dude, I'm the same way, man. I mean, people are passionate, and it's about the people that are out on the trail and wheeling and doing that type of stuff. The same way that when I first got into off-road, and that community provided something to me in my life that is hard to duplicate anywhere else.
Right.
And it's amazing the amount of people where, like, even the people I first met when I started off-roading are the first guys that'll show up to my house to help me move versus friends I've had for 20 years. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's crazy how you share so much passion with somebody else because you drive the same car. You know what I mean? Like, it's wild, man. So for us, I always really look at it and do whatever we can to kind of support that way because we built the brand, right? It was showing like, yeah, man, we care and we do.
Right. Now, I'm probably going to get some hate mail though, because people want to say, hey, why did Justin just call his Jeep a car? So, Thanks, sir, Justin. Hey,
well, I mean, dude, no offense to all of our Toyota people are out there, guys with Lexuses, you know what I mean? Like, I'm just in it anyway, right?
Right. And I tell you, we always have that stuff where we have, like, Toyotas talk about Jeeps, you talk about, but when you get out the trail, it's all about the trail, helping each other, interacting, being around that campfire. And yes, it is a very hard thing to duplicate. And that is one of the passions of this show, is to find these outdoor activities, find these things, engage people, because I truly believe if you really want to, if you really want to try to solve some of the complex problems in society, you got to start with something in common. And once you have something in common, you can communicate. Once you communicate, you can start solving some of these problems. And it's just amazing what you guys do and help be a catalyst in that support to help people engage and whatnot. Because yes, your products do help people come to events, because you know what? Some people, it might be tough for them to go out and save up for some of these products, but boy, if they're able to buy a small raffle ticket and able to win that, large item, I mean, it's a pretty big deal, and it's awesome to see that. And I know that all of my clients, customers appreciate the support that we get, and I know that our listeners do as well. And I will, before we go to the thing we're going to talk about next, Idaho, man, you hunt elk? Do you hunt at all?
Yeah. No, I don't, man. I wish I did, to have that conversation, but I do not. But I know enough about it that it's awesome here. So there's that. I know that even Dell Albright actually sneaks up here from time to time to go hunting. So it's really good from what I hear.
Well, if you are like myself, if you have a disability rating with the VA, I think above 50%, Idaho is so pro veteran. From like out of state, like a normal elk tag is crazy, right? We're talking hundreds of dollars. Idaho is so friendly to like an out of state tag for someone that qualifies it, that whatever that percentage is. I just don't have the stuff in front of me. I think it's something like $40 or $50, dude, for an elk tag.
Wow, that is a great deal.
It's stupid. Like I believe me, I've done the research. So you might find me out there one year hunting some elk, and I might have to hit you up and come by. But
yeah, come on by.
You know what? If you like to hike, you can come with, because I need help carrying all that meat back, brother.
Well, dude, I'm telling you, man, like the it's so amazing, the stuff that's here in the Idaho backcountry, and it's really an interesting thing, because so many people think of like, Factory 55, like, where are you guys at? Everybody thinks we're in Southern California, because that's where most of the brands are, right? Where most of the off-roading is going on and that kind of thing. But the thing that a lot of people don't know about this area, and I hate to put the secret out there to the world, but the thing about this is that, the majority of our state is the Frank Church Wilderness, and there is just complete untapped land that's in the middle of the whole majority part of our state, right? And they've actually, I think somebody told me one time, I think the statistic is something, there's more length of river in the state of Idaho than there are miles of highway in the whole U.S.
Dang. So
there's a whole other segment of the waterways and stuff that are happening here in our state, and the terrain. Like, dude, so I live where Boise is at. We live in the high mountain desert. So 30 miles away from us is Mountain Home Air Force Base. And it's not by chance that it looks like Afghanistan, right? Everywhere we live, and why there's an Air Force base here. You know what I mean? And like,
yep.
So right where we're at, as soon as we're talking 20 minutes, you're in the foothills. 10 more minutes, you're at the tree line. An hour north, you're deep in the national forest. And then past that, you're in just an untapped wilderness. Now, that's north. Now turn around and go south. And dude, you have the Waihe Mountain Range, and we have tons of BLM land, wide open access to desert, gnarly rock crawling trails. I mean, we have everything from mild to wild, just tucked up way right in here. And this is one of those places where literally from downtown, you can be up skiing, and then 30 minutes later be down playing golf, right? Like that's kind of the allure of this, the high mountain lakes, all of the stuff that's here and available. And so it really gives us, we get to see everything. And just like with you guys hunting, now think about all the other people that are out there hunting, right? When it comes to this, and this is where always gets in the trick with even us as a brand. If somebody's got a truck and they're going in the backcountry, I mean, tires touching dirt, you're just driving to your blind, you're trying to do whatever you're going to be doing, right? Who's to say you're not going to come across some teenage kids stuck in the mud? But You don't have your Jeep, you don't have your winch, but now maybe you need a bundle of some kit that needs to be with you at all times because your vehicle is going off pavement. And that's one of the things that we are able to test so easily here because, dude, just like I was saying, 30 minutes out of downtown is a ski resort called Bogus Basin. And I mean, we're at 2,500 feet of elevation in Boise, but the summit of Bogus Basin is almost 8,000 feet. So that's just in a 30-minute drive right from our downtown. And so sometimes people go up and start riding around on the Ridge Road in the middle of the wintertime, and dude, tow trucks won't go up there. Forest Service isn't going to help you. You know what I mean? So we get phone calls all the time like, hey man, can you get some Jeeps up here and help this guy get off the mountain? Like, it happens all the time, so it's a great testing platform for all of our products. And I mean, this place is amazing. It really is a wonderful place to live in a great community.
So you kind of moonlight as Idaho tourism as well as Factor 55 towing. You got a lot of things going on there, man.
Yeah, man. Well, dude, when you're passionate about one thing, man, it's easy to be passionate about a lot of things.
Heck yeah. That's perfect. And it really falls in line with what we're doing here. And you know what? So Justin and I spoke last week, and we're going to do, and something you kind of led up to, it kind of been leaning out there. We're going to do one Route 16 Grind giveaway. To win, you're going to have to do a few things. First off, obviously, you're going to have to listen to the podcast and pay attention to Route 16 social media accounts. We're going to share action items throughout June. And so what's an action item? It's something that you will have to do, like follow Factor 55, tag a friend in a post, and more. Patreons, you are automatically entered for every giveaway here on the Route 16 Grind. The higher Patreon level, the more automatic entries you will receive. So what action items, you ask? Well, here you go. You must follow Route 16 and Factor 55 on Instagram and Facebook. Guys, pay attention. You must follow Route 16 and Factor 55 on Instagram and Facebook. You must post a picture with text, photos with audio, or video with hashtag #MyWorstRecovery. You will need to post this on Instagram and Facebook. You must tag Factor 55 and you must tag Route 16 Grind. All right. You must share and tag a friend on the Route 16 Grind post for all episodes in June on Facebook. So that's a lot of information, I know, but guess what? We're going to go put it on the social media. It'll be in the show notes as well. And the winner is going to be announced no later than 30 June of this year. So we're going to run it all month. And Justin, what are they going to win this month, man?
So what we're going to do is we're actually going to put together a whole package of stuff. So if you, so the winner, what we're going to do, the base of the winner is going to be, you're going to get our 1.0 Fair Lead, which is mil-spec Type 3 hard anodized. So it's a great upgrade for any of you guys using synthetic winch line. You're going to get one of our Flat Link E's, our most popular winch line shackle mount, our Flat Link Expert. And then we're also going to throw in our Flat Link Rope Guard. So you're going to get the Rope Guard, the Flat Link E, and the Fair Lead, a full setup for the front end of your vehicle. And then for those, if the winner is announced and doesn't have a winch setup or has something with, or doesn't use synthetic line, for instance, and uses steel cable, then we'll modify that package per the winner.
Sweet, man. That's great. And we'll make sure to have that on our show notes as well. And Justin, thank you so much for joining us for this interview. It was, we had to do a couple of things to make it happen and life things. And, volcanoes are coming next. Who knows? But appreciate you making it, dude. And hey, when people want to find you guys, where do they go, brother?
Oh, it's super easy. You can check us out at factor55.com, on Facebook /Factor55, YouTube /Factor55. We're on Instagram at Factor55 LLC. And so if you comment, do anything, you have any questions, you can feel free to give us a call. We're always there answering the phone, emailing late at night, messaging back on all of the social media stuff. So if you ever see anything, you're ever curious about something, feel free to reach out. We will definitely get back to you very quickly.
Thank you again there, Justin, for being with us. And we'll definitely be talking to you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, guys. Appreciate being on the show, man.
Want to be on the show? Maybe share with us some interesting hunting, fishing, overlanding, wheeling, or adventuring news? Then give us a call at the Route 16 Grind hotline at 919-694-3356, and maybe you will be on our next show. Go Adventure!
This week on Go Adventure, we once again catch back up with one of our favorite people and overlanders, Sir William Goes.
What's happening? And thanks for having me on the show. Man, what a chaotic past few months this has been. So I think when we talked last time, we had just moved into the camper here on family land, and we're doing what we call mooch docking, which is basically just an extension cord dropped across the yard to my cousin's house here. And luckily we've been here because it was March when we had decided that we were going to finally leave here, and it was also March that the COVID stuff started happening. So I'm kind of glad that we weren't over, on the other side of the country when all that stuff went down, and that we were right here close to, a familiar place. But man, what a wild and crazy ride it's been all the way through, not only just for living in the RV, but just this whole entire thing. It's been wild. So Christy's been working from home. I've been working from home for a while now already, but with us both working from home and living here, it's been quite an adjustment. After all, we are in a 21-foot travel trailer, so I want to say it's a little bit less than 200 square foot. So it's been an adventure already, and we haven't even gone anywhere. So it's me, Christy, the two dogs, and it's tight living, man. But we're getting to it. We're getting our routines down. We're getting used to everything. So really, it's been kind of a blessing in disguise that we've been able to make this transition a soft transition instead of, diving headfirst, so to speak, into it and being in totally unfamiliar places. But we do plan on leaving soon. It's getting about that time where we've started, all right, everything's starting to, kind of calm down a little bit. So we've been planning our next step. We think that we're going to go to the Appalachian Mountains and stay in the Appalachian Mountains, at least for the summertime, so that way we can ride out the really hot summers of the southeast here. I don't know if we want to go too far, and the primary reason is because we're afraid that this stuff could pop back off again in the fall or the winter, and if that happens, we don't want to be too far away, because a lot of people don't realize that there's a lot of full-time RVers out there, and when all this stuff happened, there was a lot of places that completely shut down, and there was a lot of full-time RVers that had absolutely nowhere to go. So it's been kind of a crazy ride, and like I said, I'm glad that we are blessed to be in the situation that we're in, so that way we weren't too incredibly hindered. That said, we're making some upgrades to the RV. In mid-June, we'll be going up to Dandridge, Tennessee. We'll spend probably a week or 2 weeks up there. And we're going to be installing 3 lithium-ion battle-borne batteries to give us 300 amp hours of electricity to our rig here. And we're also going to be installing a inverter, converter, and charger system from a company called Victron. So that'll be one of the very first videos that we do in the series that we release about RV living. We've just been collecting content for that. There's no videos yet on the RV living side of things, and as a matter of fact, we're still trying to come up with the perfect name for that series. So we're excited about that series, and we're collecting tons and tons of content on it. So I'm excited to put some of that stuff together and show you guys what we've been doing. Now, as far as Sir William Goes series, I just got done doing a trail around the state of South Carolina called the South Carolina Adventure Route, very similar to the Transamerica Trail. As a matter of fact, the first part of that series was just released yesterday. It's Sir William Goes on the South Carolina Adventure Trail. That should be a 3 or 4 part series, so that's going to be a cool one to watch. I got another trip planned for the Kentucky Adventure Trail, which is going to be very similar, but it's going to go through Kentucky, and I'm looking forward to that trip. That'll be in mid-July sometime, so it'll be nice, hot, and muggy for us whenever we go do that. So for Sir William Goes, there's been some traveling, man. I've been going. Now for Badass Builds, I just got done releasing an episode a couple weeks ago of a guy that I met that has a super swapped 1987 Toyota 4Runner, super cool rig. Also got to go see the guys over at the garage shop. Aaron Brown and them guys built a really nice old rat rod that's dubbed the world's fastest rat rod. It's a land speed car. They're also working on a land speed car that is the Daytona Super B, I think is what it's called. It's the old Plymouth It's the old Plymouth Roadrunner or whatever that was used in NASCAR. It's a really cool rig. You got to watch that episode. And then, of course, we walked around the FJ40, which is always a treat. So, yeah, I've been doing quite a bit of things with Badass Builds, so hot new episodes to go check out on that end. And we went and collected the content to produce episode 1 of USA on Dirt. I'm super stoked about this series. This is kind of my passion project, the USA on Dirt series is. So I'm super excited to get that episode out there. We went up to Gulch's Off-Road Park in Lawrence, South Carolina, and had a great time. You know, we got to watch some Jeeps, we got to watch some Toyotas, we got to watch a little bit of everything was out there wheeling around. And then we even got to see a Bounty hill climb, which I don't know if you or the listeners have ever had the opportunity to take a look at a rock bouncer. And these things are just absolutely amazing pieces of machinery. I mean, you're talking about something that's got a big, huge V8, big, huge 40-plus inch tires, and they're just balls to the wall going straight up these rocks and bouncing, and it's unbelievable. They flip backward. It's crazy. So that's going to be a really cool first episode. And again, I'm really looking forward to the USA on Dirt series. I think that it's going to be a really cool series for us. So yeah, that's what I've been up to, man. We hadn't really been doing a whole lot of traveling, but we have still been going, still collecting content, still trying to put out some episodes, and also still trying to work, and also still trying to survive in this crazy world that we're living in right now. So I really appreciate you having us on. These are always fun to do. I always like catching up with you guys. Until next time, peace.
Thanks a lot, Sir William Goes, for that. We definitely look forward to your future contributions. And hey, listeners, if you want to follow him, USA on Dirt, Sir William Goes, he's on YouTube, Facebook. He's out there, Instagram. You can Google him. He's going to pop up. Or you can just check our show notes and you can find out what he's up to. He's got some great information out there, and he's got some great content, and he has some great adventures.
Since 1989, Tuffy Security Products has been the industry leader in automotive security. Tuffy has a variety of vehicle-specific consoles, drawers, and lockboxes. Tuffy manufactures adventure-ready organization and security for your Jeep, truck, or SUV. Visit TuffyProducts.com and use special offer code GRIND to save 10% on your order. The Cup of Joe segment is brought to you by C-State Coffee. Have you ever actually drank good coffee? Stop wasting your money on old, stale coffee from the store and make the switch to C-State Coffee. C-State Coffee is a United States Marine Corps veteran-owned and operated roastery, selling premium coffee that's roasted on order and delivered fresh to you. Order your coffee today at www.cstatecoffee.com.
Man, Ethan, I'll tell you what, I think that right there, in just my opinion, since you and I have synced up to take this show forward, I really honestly feel that this has been our best show.
I think it gets better every week. It's like a fine wine, gets better with time.
There you go. I like that. Yeah, but I tell you, we covered a lot of things. We put our hearts out there with this. It's a tough topic, man. I'm not. It's tough. I think all this whole situation, if it doesn't hurt you in some way, shape, or form, I mean, you really need to check your humanity. Just everything going on. There are a lot of people hurting, and we can isolate a lot of different topics and subjects and wrongs and rights and all that. But throughout the last 3 months, from everything that has gone on, there are some people, their entire lives are totally changed, and I don't know if some people are going to recover. And, I'm fine with us having these discussions on this in this format. And I'm glad that you are too, because I think it's silly to act like you don't see it and not acknowledge it. I don't operate that way, and I know you don't either, brother.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I it's awesome that the show is just becoming so dynamic, because every week it just becomes dynamic. It adapts and pivots every time something happens. And it's not, I love that we just don't stick to, the hard on script. We were able to deviate. We're able to let our conversations naturally go. And, I think it's just created some really intense content that, maybe we were scared, with uncharted waters before, but, I'm really digging the path we're going down, and I definitely want to keep the wheels turning.
Yeah, and Ron, thank you so much for your content. We got some more. I mean, Ron's he puts out some good content. I got the things for the next couple shows that he's put out there, and I really love what he brings from Ryker USA. And great brand. Make sure to go check him out. They're doing, if you're in the North Carolina area, he does all the concealed carry training. He does the Ryker. They go out and do all the different level of carbine and stuff. So he's an actual, if you will call it, a tactical instructor. Seek him out. He trains all the different, he trains law enforcement, trains citizens, you name it. He's out there, and I can speak because obviously I've worked with Ron in many different capacities. This guy's legit, and he's just not out there spewing and trying to just Velcro up. I think one thing too, and you heard it from Justin, which I loved. You started off with the whole, hey, let's just, try and get outdoors. Let's find these things, activities, trying to do some internal healing. I think it's a kind of a way to look at it. And then, and Justin talked about the whole being in that community, doing the off-road groups, and it just resonates. And that's something you always hear with people. And, bikers have that. When I rode Harleys for years, you had a very tight community, and people were just, that's what brought you together. And, I love that when we're talking to Justin, he brought that in. It's very hard to replicate that type of grouping when you start with something that's very common. I really do feel if people can disconnect from the phone, disconnect from the talk. I hate watching the news. Like, I think there are a bunch of idiots on there, just my opinion, but whatever. But disconnect from those things and actually go out and engage with people. Are you going to disagree? Absolutely, you are, man. You totally are. But that's okay. And that's what makes us, to me, that's what makes us stronger. We're able to listen and hear and respect people's other opinions, but no one should be forcing you to agree or disagree, whatever the case. And there's so much respect that I have felt when I've gone out into these different activities and with people that I know we do not have the same politics, but there's so much respect and there's humanity with that. Oh, you need help, dude? Hey, what do you need? It's just amazing. So yeah, man, I really appreciate you kind of wrapping that in, bringing that in. And it was just cool. Unscripted. Justin brought the stuff in from his too. So that was really cool, man. I enjoyed that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, and just to give a quick plug here, Ron from Ryker, if you guys don't follow him, you should. He puts a lot of great content on his Instagram, too. It's Ryker USA. But he did post on his storyline that he's running like back-to-back classes and running deals on them, too, just to get people trained up and get people educated. So just a quick shout out for him. I didn't want to miss that. But, yeah, outdoors medicine, self-healing, it's super important to, take advantage of those things.
And what about Sir William Goes, man? I'll tell you what, that guy, he is so fun to follow. I had the pleasure, and you can go back to and I feel so bad to this day that really was a poor audio interview with him, and I got to get him back on, and we got to do it again. But I was able to meet him at the garage shop that he was talking about out west in it was like Charlotte. It's kind of in that area north of Charlotte. And just a great bunch of people set up like an overland kind of discussion and talk about it. He was one of the speakers, and you know what? He is what you hear in his content. That's exactly who he is when you meet him in person. He's a helper. He's a bridge. He's all about just, and you know what? He has a tremendous amount of knowledge, and there's not one bit of arrogance with him, man. And it was so great to hear his story and him to share that with us. And I'm hoping that, next time we're able to hear his wife too, because, man, last time when she was on, it kind of was fun too. So maybe we'll hear from her as well.
Yeah, I know you had that here to discuss, and that's kind of why I let you take the reins on it, because you had that continuity with him from the previous show, and when I was when we were in the works and I was kind of getting a feel for what Route 16 is all about, that was the very first show I listened to, and I was like, wow, that's a really fun segment. So I definitely was really glad that we could get him back on here. Glad to hear some, solid updates from, them making the most of what they can from the situation. And it's definitely a cool story and an admirable, move they're taking to, kind of change their lives and just simplify and go back to the basics. So super, super admirable, super cool thing they're doing. Yeah, definitely doesn't, takes the limitations off from, what they're going to be able to experience as a family. And the upgrades they're making are super cool, environmentally friendly. They're definitely like taking it to that next level.
Yeah, I just love how he just like these things are pieces of crap. Like, just so funny. He's brutally honest, and so
they
you're
are,
gonna,
dude. And I mean,
the RVs we're talking about. Yeah,
I mean, they're tiny homes, but homes weren't meant to move. Think about moving your home and all the impacts you would have on plumbing, electrical, etc.
Good God, and my garage would no.
Yeah, with how again dynamic the contracting world can be for what I do. You can move around a lot. And I actually got a camper as like a dual thing. I was like, man, I'm traveling a lot. I'd go on TDY and all this stuff, checking out some new contracts, standing up a couple things. I actually got a camper. Half was supposed to be for, pleasure and enjoyment. Always wanted to go out west or have it to go out and, hey, Brian, let's go do an elk hunt, in Idaho, stay for a week. That'd be sick. But it ended up me really just, using it to go to these different sites. So with that, I semi-permanently lived in it for, short periods of time. I never actually did like small, tiny home living. But even with my experience with, staying, 3-4 days at a time in it, I'm like, man, I don't know how people do this with, let alone with families and animals and kids and schooling.
Ooh, it's tough. And I admire, what's funny is, I hope my wife listens to this podcast. I really do. Because my whole plan before my wife came in my life, my whole plan was retire from the Marine Corps, buy an RV and just travel. Because I love being, I think in my past life, I was a trucker or something, dude. I mean, I just love being on the road and
just
driving.
Nomadic.
Yeah, I'd love that. And when I met my wife, I met her, good gosh, man, initially met her around 2000. And so we dated for 5 years, then we got married. And that just, that wasn't in the cards. That wasn't going to happen. There's no way that wasn't appealing to her. And you know what? That's one of the things I like about her too. She has her own interests. It isn't necessarily that, but that's not for everybody. And I love that she could be honest like that. Yeah, that's not for me. But I think it's a blessing in disguise because everyone I have spoken with that lives that type of life, they say, man, I should just went the boat way.
Yeah. Just a houseboat.
Yeah, so it's like all the people that do the power boats and stuff, and they go like to the Caribbean and all that. They just seem to be a little bit more happier than sitting there doing roadside maintenance all the time. But hey, we got a thing we're kind of doing this weekend too. We got the Moore County, North Carolina, the Moore County Bow Hunters. There's an event happening in Vast this weekend that you and I are going to probably head out to and check out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Here, I'm coming back. It choked on my own spit, so that Anyway, yeah. So you hit me up about 2 days ago. You said you sent me a link. I didn't get the link, so I didn't know what you were talking about. But
right,
then when you said it, I checked it out, and it's good to hear. Like I said, things are opening back up. We're trying to establish a new norm, and like you said, Moore County Bow Hunters is having a small 3D shoot this weekend. So if you guys are in the area, come check it out. We'll be there. I'm gonna dust off the old Hoyt and get it out there, and we're gonna shoot it and see how Brian's how jacked up. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, damn.
Where Brian's at.
I think I do okay. We'll find out. But hey,
great, man.
If you come out there and you say hi to us or stuff, you mentioned the show off, we might give you a nice little, magnetic koozie or something. I don't know. Might have them with us. So you might want to come by, say hi, get a card or whatever. And, talking about fishing, dude, we need to go fishing. Like when that whole segment, I was like, dude, yep, it's time to go, because I always take, if I'm going out somewhere, I always have a fishing pole with me. So it's so funny you say that. Like, yeah, that's so me. That's why I have the front seat out of my Jeep, because I need all that space. But yeah, man, I think, yeah, it'd be great to hook up, go fishing and link up. I know a couple spots that we can kind of go to as well. I know some farmland we can go to. So yeah, man, we definitely should try and do that.
That'd be great. And I love fishing because it's like, hunting, yes, it is to an extent too. Excuse me. But, fishing, like I said, and just as well, you can put a travel pack in your vehicle with you, and it doesn't have to be, but I've fished for 5 minutes before. If I'm on a crunch, or, I was running late from getting home from work, but I just need that 5 minutes, or that spot just strikes me, it doesn't take anything to already have a lure tied on or something and just stop. And you might do something called fan casting. So you're basically just like surveying the area. You'll throw down alongside right bank, left bank, and then you'll just work the numbers, 2, 10, 12, so on and so forth, and just kind of area cast just to see if you can locate it. Depends on if bass are spawning or what your target species is. But, you can kind of just like, it's not something you have to devote all day to. So
Right.
It's something that you can kind of just like, stop and enjoy for a bit. Right.
Well, I'm so glad we're starting the summer podcast giveaways. So we got a lot of things that we're kind of like looking at doing this summer. We really are so excited for you guys to participate. Go get your friends involved, all that. It's really going to help you out. And I was initially, we were thinking it was going to be a Factor 55 gift certificate. Man, that's some really cool stuff that is being thrown out there. We're talking about the flat link, the link cover, and you're also looking at the, what is it? I forgot the name of it, man. It's the thing that goes on the winch line. But, depending on if you have cable or synthetic, you're good, man. And that is like, that's what I roll with, some of that. I think I went to Warren once they sponsored us this last year. That's the only time I switched it out, but I use the Factor fairing. So I use that for a long time. And normally when I take my stuff, like the stuff off my Jeep, if I'm doing that, I'll usually give it to somebody that it might be a little bit tougher for them to get that. But Factor 55 makes such quality stuff. And, far as these giveaways, I just want to reiterate, guys, Patreons automatically get entered, and the higher level is bonus. I think we got 4 different levels. I might not need to do some modifications on the Patreon board for some clarity, but you're going to get bonus levels depending on what level that you support the show with, because that's one way that we want to throw that support back, because your contributions do help produce this show. They help produce some of the products that we're going to give away, because, we might work with a company and it might be a little bit tough to get a full freebie. So we'll get an extreme reduced cost thing. Or if we have to do shipping, we don't want you to pay for shipping. We want to ship it. So there's a variety of things that we're looking at. This isn't just, to go in our pockets. This is actually going into the show to help make it better for everybody. It helps us produce a better show that you can listen to, learn from, enjoy while you're out there doing all the things that you're doing on your normal activity. If you leave us a review on Stitcher or Apple Podcasts or on YouTube, you get an entry. You complete the action item and you get bonus entries. Along with the Factor 55 products, we're going to have an item from Vortex, maybe a couple items. We have a product from RCBS. We have some quick grip. I'm looking at some grab bar stuff. There's a lot of different products that I'm looking at to possibly throw out there, but we need you to kind of participate and get that out there. We want to get our show out there. We want you to celebrate these brands that are supporting us as well, because we can't do it without them. We can't do it without you. We can't do it without these brands. So, and the biggest thing that we really want to see, we want to have fun with this. So that hashtag #MyWorstRecovery in your post, tell us the story behind it. Show us the picture. Do a video. Write some text. Whatever means that you have available, put it out there, okay? And put that hashtag #MyWorstRecovery, and then make sure to hashtag Root16Grind. Root16Grind, that hashtag there. We also have some big news from Nexon. You're going to want to listen to the next show. Well, you should want to listen to every show. But next week, we're going to have some big news with us in Nexon, where I got, everything goes well, we're going to have a great interview with Paul from Nexon Tire, and we're going to share some information with them. He's got some good news that we're going to talk about. Make sure to connect with us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, even Pinterest. You want to be the first to know? I'm going to go back to it. you got to be a Patreon. Automatic entries, and you're going to be the first to know on some of these things that we're going to be running. You want to be in the loop? Become a Patreon today. Where's the link? It's on our social media page. Go to Instagram, click on the link. No problem, easy to do, or just check the show notes in here and you can go to find our Patreon page. So I'm going to do something a little different this show. I'm going to have some closing remarks. I'm going to let Ethan, hey man, if you have any closing remarks that you want to do, I got something earlier in the show, man, it just really, my heart, dude, and all that. I put something down, and this is going to be one of the shows I'm going to have some kind of closing remarks.
Actually, you know what? Well, go ahead and start. Go ahead. I want to see where you want to take this.
So, for me, this is just kind of something that I wrote earlier. I just want to share it with you. Hope each of you and your families are safe, staying positive throughout this very challenging period. Living in the sticks, my family and I have not been too impacted. I hope there can be some positive actions and enduring solutions that we can build in order to establish peace and unity. It is also my hope that there can be unequivocal acknowledgement and respect of all freedoms, both enumerated and not specifically enumerated in the Constitution. And if you need a little bit of guidance, make sure to reference the 9th Amendment. In my personal life, I understand yelling at the TV changes nothing. I do my best to involve myself within my community through formal and informal exchanges. In doing so, I, along with others, have contributed to positive changes in our spheres and influence. These engagements have helped my opinions to evolve. I have gained a larger degree of empathy for others, and I have found myself growing into more of a resource than a person with just an opinion. Posting a hashtag on social media about something on a feed, it really doesn't do anything. Making yourself available to your neighbors and community are actions that help patch the cracks within our society. If there is anything that I can do to help you build a bridge in your community, please reach out. I am more than happy to help. That's Brian's closing remarks.
That is, I don't know. I didn't hear you drop your mic or anything.
Yeah, and I mean that sincerely. That's not something for me to like. I'm dead serious. That is me, and I think the people that have known me over the years, through the off-road community, through the people I have started to engage with in the outdoors community, the people that I work with other brands know that is me. I mean that sincerely, guys. I put my money where my mouth is. I was a person in my own community that was like constantly, let's just call it what it is, just bitching. Why is this that? Why is this? But I'm not doing anything. So I put my money out there. I started getting involved in my own village and different things that I could do. I join a board. I want to do this, want to do that. I put my name out there. I get selected, and then I contribute to that. And then on top of it, these events that we do, the whole reason why we support them, we sponsor things, we sponsor groups, and the reason why we do things or events, and I'm looking so excited to try to do this, is because we want to bring people together. It's the fact that we can come together, peacefully engage, is where we can learn and respect one another. And it starts with generally an activity. If you really look through all the points of your life as where you connect with people that get you, that people that respect you, people that actually reflect love upon you, it took something that you connected with. And we're hoping that this show can be one of those things that you connect with, pushes you outside of your house, outside of your little safe space that you feel is just safe. You want to be safer? Get around some people that understand and you can relate with. And you know what? You're going to be exposed to some things that you might not have understood before. And you get a better perspective, an educated perspective on the things that are out there that just, may not have been an issue with you. Maybe you're not a person that has dealt with racism, right? It doesn't say it doesn't exist. It absolutely does exist. But how can you understand that? How can you, instead of just having an opinion like, oh man, it's not that. And you can understand that the people that do have no given grievances with certain parties of our government, certain positions of our government, whatever the case may be, they may be honest grievances and they reserve the right to protest and peacefully assemble and have a redress onto that government level, whatever it may be, city, state, federal. And you should support that. No different than you support all the other rights. They're all kind of one. And your rights are yours and yours alone. The government did not provide them to you. They are your rights. And that's what's so important. If you don't read the Constitution, you don't really get it. When they created it, they did a great job. And those amendments, and I'm telling you right now, Ninth Amendment, you really need to look at it. And you might want to relook at how you look at this whole COVID thing. You know, no one should have power over you and say what you can and can't do in the aspect. If you're not hurting anybody, if you're not taking their stuff, you're not looking to do harm, any of that, you should have no problem in just going about your life, and no one should stop you in doing that.
Yeah, that is most certainly a hard act to follow. I mean, you said it all. You said it a lot. That's definitely has a lot of key takeaways that I don't want to touch on. I want the viewers to actually formulate their own opinions on it and think about it rather than already having a train of thought going from us. So I want to let that sink in there. And for me, it just comes back to united we stand, divided we fall. If we can't pull together as a race of humans or as a country, we're not going to succeed in the leaps and bounds that we could if we would just, look at each other equally and, just strive for the betterment of, our country, our lives, our success rate. So, just take a minute to, kind of reflect on everything that's going on and, really make an attempt to view it from a different perspective. And if you have, as Brian said, you want to sit there and scream and throw the remote at the TV, it's doing nothing. And if you could just take that initiative to be able to take something negative and draw the positive out of it. And that's just for life in general, for your own family, your own work life, your own personal life, physical and mental health. It's the same thing for a smile. It takes more muscles it takes less muscles to smile than it does to frown. And it can just lighten your mood. And your day can just start with one breath, one smile, just reflecting on what makes you and what it's going to take for you to be successful in that moment, in that day, in your time. And, it's so easy for us to be negative. It's so easy for us to drown in our doubts and our sorrows in what, how the world has been out to get me. You make your own destiny, and I know there's outside influences, caveat, but, if only you can make a change, and it starts with looking in the mirror. So, take a moment to do that. And then the next step I want you guys to do, I'm trying to do this. I try to do this every day. It's an exercise I've been doing for years now. I'm not always the best at it, but take a moment to at least say one positive thing, one compliment to somebody in your daily life. It could be your spouse. That's the easy one. But how about while you are trying to shop, and especially now, be courteous to somebody. Help somebody who's obviously struggling, load groceries into their car, get something down that they can't reach, pick up a bag of dog food if it's somebody that you see might be physically limited. Just do something nice for somebody, and you never know what that might do for that person, where they're at in life, and how it might influence them to pay it forward. And if everybody can start getting those gears turning, getting the juices flowing, and do something like that, you never know the ripple effect, the butterfly effect that it might have, that ultimately might make a huge difference as we go down the road. Thank you all for joining us. And if you have made it this far, that means you love our show. You have to. This was a great one. It was a long one, but it was full of some good stuff. So remember, if you have an idea or maybe you would like to contribute to one of our segments, all you have to do is go to rootonesix.com and select contact and let us know your idea. That's rootonesix.com and select contact.
Thanks for listening to the Route 16 Grind. We want to thank our amazing sponsors, Warren Industries, Tuffy Security Products, Sea State Coffee, and Route 16 Off-Road for their support. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, and more. Just look for Route 16. That's ROOTONESIX. Or just go to Route16.com. Until next week, plan smart, be safe, and as always, be prepared.
Liberty for all.
Yeah!